Burnout is a choice that doesn't need to be part of your journey as a creator, as a business owner, as a professional. And this is something that I've dealt with in my career a whole ton. And everything you have to worry about as a creator, monetizing, building an audience or platforms, changing or dropping you, part of what's going to help you succeed is your ability to find the joy in the process. And it's really hard to feel the joy when you're exhausted and burnt out. And so many people are not taught how to deal with burnout or the levers you can pull. And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode today. But if you don't know what levers to pull, you're going to try to just brute force your way to do it because you have to. And you might end up quitting, or you might end up losing that love for the thing that why you chose that career or passion that you're chasing. Again, I'm a certified high performance coach and survivor of corporate America. And again, what we're going to talk about in this episode is why burnout happens, the 3 different levers you can pull when you experience burnout or to prevent burnout, and more. I can't wait to get into it. So let's just get into it. Okay. So, as we said, if you are a creator, you're worrying about monetizing, building an audience, or platforms changing underneath you or dropping you, there's so much stress that happens that the things you might have loved while you were creating become a huge burden. Again, connecting with your audience, creating YouTube videos or podcasts or articles and books, you name it, the things that code outcomes for your clients, these types of things. And if you are stressing about, or you don't feel like you're in control of your life, which is the cause of burnout, is this feeling that you don't control your time, where you spend it, your priorities, and so on. So your goals, when you don't feel like you have control of your life for a long period of time, that's when people burn out. And I've seen this in my personal life, having quit corporate America twice and experiencing what I call the corporate detox, which is for a month up to 3. In my case, you're drinking coffee, you're running, going to the gym, you're reading, and you're not doing much else after you quit your corporate job, even though you need to start a business and get going. So how do you kick in the gear if that's you? Ultimately, that the reasons leading up to quitting corporate America were not feeling like I was able to put the attention, the focus, the effort that I wanted in the areas of my life. That my first job at Walmart, I've talked about at Walmart corporate, a couple of really formative ideas in previous episodes that I won't cover again here. But the idea that giant corporations aren't looking out for your best interests and you need to advocate for yourself helped me from those experiences realize that we have a lot more choice in our life and what we put up with and what we get after. And so thinking about that, like, what choices are you making in your life with these 3 levers that I'll explain here in a second, can really help determine what, 1, are you going to burn out? 2, what to do if you're feeling burnt out, and then how to prevent. So here's how it goes. You used to love your career, you used to love your passion, you used to love what you create. Now you're starting to dread it because you're exhausted. And you're exhausted because you have all this worry about keeping on top of things or growing or whatever it is, right? There's usually a worry that causes you to doubt yourself in it or your ideas, or you have the idea, why am I even here? And you're constantly spinning on that. You start trying to do all these different things and you put in the effort, you're bleeding, you're sweating, you're toiling, and you start to get a little invested. And then when you start to feel exhausted, you think, should I even be doing this? You might give up. You then take shortcuts that don't feel great. So you agree to sponsors that maybe aren't matched well for you, or you start generating a ton of low quality AI content, or you start putting out clickbaity articles, or maybe you're against your values, but then you still don't get the audience, the income, the creative euphoria, whatnot. So then you feel more burnt out, and then you have this cycle of fire continually burning you. So I bring this up because I was looking at some statistics from Whoop, which is an aggregate of other statistics. And it said that 41% of creators struggle with burnout, which was it 1 out of every 5? If I did the math right, 4 out of 10, 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5 creators struggle with this cycle of exhaustion. And is that you? First off, in your career, but more specifically, again, since we talk about creators on the Meaningful Revolution podcast here, are you feeling burnt out? And if you are, it's about half. So chances are you probably are feeling something, right? So then the question is, what if you could fireproof yourself so you felt creative, so you felt energized and excited and connected to the things that you're creating and the people you're helping in your audience, right? So as a high performance coach, again, most people feel burnt out when they don't have control over their life, and that manifests in not taking care of their health. So you'll see habits like eating at your desk while you're working, and then waking up, getting on your computer, working until dinner time and not taking any breaks. And then you eat dinner. You maybe spend some time with your spouse or your family or your friends. Probably in the middle of that, you're eating convenient food that's really not nutritious or good for you. Maybe because you're working so hard, you're consuming a bunch of coffee and now your sleep screwed up, and then you're just a hot mess, right? Is that you? And that was definitely me in my tech career at times. Or because you don't have control over your time, you're neglecting the people around you, right? So the close friends that you knew in high school and college and in your adult life really stop reaching out to you because you're always too busy to hang out, or just assume you're working, right? And you slowly lose touch. And you start to feel weird about reaching out to other people, to your friends, not just other people, to your friends, because it's been a little too long. And now it feels weird. Maybe that's just me, but this is all because you're not actively reaching out to spend time with them. You're not checking in and figuring out what's going on in their lives. And the human experience, so many people say that they wish and they regret not spending more time with the people that they love. So how can we fireproof you, so you don't experience that lack of health and relationship in your life, but again, feel more creative and energized and excited and connected? So the first thing, you have to fireproof your body, right? Because how you feel physically in your body is how you feel about your life. And I'm going to say this a bunch of times, in a little bit different ways, but we need to see the sun. We need nutritious food. We need to sleep, and we need to move, and we need to sweat. So when I looked at some statistics from PubMed, they said men who complete at least 150 minutes a week of activity, of working out, have lower odds of moderate to severe depression, right? So exercise helps you feel less depressed. I think this is a pretty common thing that we just intuitively know, but there's statistics specifically for men. But and I'm saying it's probably true for everyone. Everyone that I know that consistently exercises tends to be happier than the people that don't, just anecdotally. And I know for myself, when I'm exercising, I feel generally happier about the world. And then if you take a look at like Andrew Haberman's podcast, he's a neuroscientist from Stanford. He talks about sciencey stuff, trying to make it accessible to the public. You talked about there's 5 things to support your mental, physical health, and performance. Mental health, physical health, and performance. That's you need sleep, you need movement in your life, so exercise and not sitting at a desk all day. You need nutrients, you need sunlight on your eyeballs, preferably right when you wake up, and you need quality relationships. This is all just to support that. We need to fireproof your body. And that's the checklist right there. Are you sleeping at least 7 hours a night? Are you getting at least a half hour to an hour of exercise a day? Are you constantly taking breaks to stretch and to move around if you sit at a desk? Are you focused on foods that fuel you and versus are just empty? So things that are not processed generally is the good rule, but you can do the whole Google search and figure out the specific macro and micro nutrients that are good for you. I won't go into that in this podcast. Again, sunlight on your eyeballs and relationships. So are you getting outside? And are you getting outside first thing in the morning? And are you getting outside in the evening to help you sleep? Right? That's why Haberman talks a lot about sunlight. And building, maintaining, and participating in meaningful relationships. So, do you have time on the calendar to have a date night with your spouse, to spend time with the kids, to make time for your friends, so you can blow off steam or relax or take your head out of the work just a little bit in order to back into it doubly productive, as we know from high performance studies? And I'll just vaguely say that. I won't cite the statistics because they don't have them in front of me right now. I should have grabbed it. But any case, last thing on making your or on fireproofing your body. Another statistic as I was going through all of this, from the whoop.com study, which I'll link in the show notes in case you want to check my work, said that 40% of creators do not have health insurance, meaning that one accident, emergency, or medical issue is catastrophic for creators. And if you're not taking care of your body on top of it, that's a whole level of stress where you're worried about being knocked out because of something medical happening. Okay. Fireproof your body with those 5 things from Haberman Lab: sleep, movement, nutrients, sunlight, and relationships. Second point, to fireproof your mind, right? Because how you think and what you believe equals how you feel about your life. Hope you're seeing the pattern here, right? And so I have 3 quick things on keeping a positive, performative mindset. And that is an every day to try to start in creation and not consumption. It's so much easier to wake up to start doom scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever your favorite platform is. And it's much harder to wake up, maybe do a little journal and say, what do I want out of today? What is something that's going to push or turn the dial in my life and get things moving forward? And so that's why, like, great, write something, even if it's in your journal. If it's not something productive in your job, let's just do something like that. It really changes how you approach the day, how you feel about the day, right? Because you did something good, right? Or like, I think Jordan Peterson's the one who talks about making your bed right when you wake up. Do something productive, but do something creative, like, not just the normal maintenance stuff, which can help. Start in creation, not in consuming. The other thing about that I want to say is that social media is a death trap for your mind. It is made to make you feel bad about yourself, to feel bad about other people, to feel bad about what's happening in the world. And if you were to take a break for 2 weeks of I'm not looking at any social media, I'm deleting it off my phone, I think you'll find that your quality of life is so much better just because you're not in the noise, the outrage machine, the fear machine that is almost all social media platforms. I can't think of one, but I think it is super great. So, yeah, get out of social media. Okay. Second point to fireproof the mind is to Get around a supportive group of peers. Do you have people that either creators or professionals or business owners that are constantly trying new things or constantly trying to figure and solve problems related to the thing that you do? Because when you get around people that are doing the work and are positive about it, are bringing a sense of fun and curiosity and excitement, it's contagious. And when you are at your lowest, you'll have people to pull you up. And then icing on top of the cake here is if you're in one of those groups and somebody in that group is having a bad time or struggling with a problem that you can solve, that can fill your cup for a year, or at least for me, right? It's really super awesome when you can help somebody out with something that you've figured out. And part of creating and fireproofing your mind is helping other people, I think. And so that's why I have that here. Third thing, this is totally a self plug here, but hire a coach, preferably certified high performance coach whose podcast you're listening to right now. And you can do that in the show notes. I have a link for you to get a free strategy session if you want to check that out. No pressure at all, of course. But I think having a coach or having someone that has a science-based process they can walk you through to help you build the type of mindset and beliefs that you want about the world that are helpful to you, that serve you, that help push you forward can change the world. Right. And I'll add this on too. If you are struggling with trauma or you're struggling with things that patterns in your life that you notice that you can't figure out why they are happening, go see a therapist. Coaches are great for taking you where you are right now and bridging to where you want to go in the future. Therapists are really good at handling the stuff that's happened to you that you can't let go or that is holding you back. So you can make a decision now to go into that future. Plug out to all the therapists doing that work that you do. Keep rocking it. All right. Okay. Fireproof your mind. Start your day in creation. Get a support group of like-minded and positive peers. Hire yourself a coach or find a therapist, depending on what you need, in order to build that positive mind at a very high level. Third thing to do to prevent burnout. So we've talked about fireproofing your body from burnout, fireproofing your mind from burnout. The third thing is to fireproof how you show up in your relationships. So fireproof your relationships, because how you feel in relation to other people, you feel about your life. Okay. So make sure you schedule time for family and friends, and it's on the calendar, and it's something you prioritize as much as you do that meeting with your CEO or the meeting as the CEO for the time you're spent in your head creating the things that you create. I worked in corporate America for a good chunk of my career. I live and die by the calendar. And so I found that that's the most effective way. One, to measure, are you actually prioritizing things? Does it show up there? Two, are you actually following through with it? Because life happens. It's human nature to get pulled off in distractions. And so we need to make that time. And doubly myself as an introvert who I would just love to sit at home, read, play video games, play guitar, just chill, be in my own world, right? But you gotta schedule that time for family and friends. One of my mentors on the second point, I'm just gonna call this do shit in the real world. So go to concerts, go to conferences, go travel, go to new places. It's really important. One of my mentors, Brendan Burchard, has a story about one of his mentors telling him when he was at a kind of depressed, go get tickets. And that is go into the newspaper, or I guess online now, right? We could tell how old this advice is. Look at the things that are happening in your community. Could be like pub trivia, could be museums, could be music shows, art shows. baking, cool restaurants. I don't know. There's ton parades, you name it. If it's interesting to you, get 2 tickets, one for yourself and one for a friend. Then go ask a friend, right? It's so much easier to get people to hang out when you're like, hey, I'm doing this thing. It's cool. Do you want to come do this cool thing with me? And they're like, yeah, this is cool. Let's do it. And this is something that one of my friends here out west recently did, where it was him going to Comedy Bang Bang. Me and my wife, do you and Ashley want to go, Sean? I'm like, yeah, this sounds really cool because it's cool stuff. And so we went, and it was a great double date night. We had a ton of fun. Not something me and Ashley would do by ourselves, just go to a comedy show, but we loved it. It was super cool. Well, get tickets, do real shit in the world, in the real world. And then third thing is to reach out to family and friends, right? Really think about, like, how much do you know what's going on in your friends' lives, your close friends, or the important family members you have. And hopefully they're all important, but we all have favorite aunts and uncles. If you are listening to it, if you're one of my aunts or uncles, you are my favorite. So I'll just throw that out there. You know who you are. Check on them. You should know, what are the big things they're going for in their life right now? What are the things that they're struggling with? What are they doing to move forward? And do they just need someone to cheer them on? Are they looking for someone to hold them accountable? Are they looking for someone to help brainstorm? Or it's simple stuff, right? Showing interest in someone, trying to help them in their lives, that builds solid relationships. And the more you can do this and replicate it in your life and build those really strong bonds, the happier you're going to be. Not the more happier, the happier you are going to be. So, all this said, what gets in the way of people fireproofing their lives against burnout? So many people, and maybe you've said this, but what if I don't have the time to eat lunch, to work out, to see my family, to make time to make sure my head's right? It's worth asking your question if that's occurred to you. This is what I would coach people on: is you being stuck in unhealthy and unsustainable habits means you're going to pay for it way worse, way later. Intuitively, if you spent 20 years of your career not working out, not seeing the sun, not eating healthy, you get to retirement, and then your heart falls out because you never took care of it. That's a really serious thing, where a little bit of maintenance goes a long way over those 20 years of going for an hour walk every day after lunch, or, whatever. Maybe it's an hour of total of walking 5 minutes at a time every day. It's way easier to prevent the health things than it is to deal with the health things later, right? You'll also suffer longer than you need to, right? Before you get to your do or die moment, where maybe you have been neglecting your health and you feel bad and you can't sleep and you gain a bunch of weight and your body's falling apart, and you go, something needs to change. And so I'm quitting my job today out of a rash decision, or you get forced to change, or you have that heart attack scare. And the doctor's like, hey, you've got to take care of yourself. Something's got to change. And then you're like, maybe I need to change my job. And so you go down that ring. Relationship wise, people will forget to reach out to you because they just think you're always heads down working. And it's not that they don't like you. It's just you're always so busy, so they don't bother because you never have the time. But it's all a thing of prioritization. If you prioritize your health and your relationships, this isn't really a problem. And if you don't have the time, you spend your life reacting to everyone else, and you never make the time to make a dent in the universe so that it has to react to you. Meaning you don't build that business, that side hustle, or the main business to a point where You can enjoy life in the lifestyle that you want to without having to kill yourself in the process. Some things to think about if you don't have the time. A lot of people also say that maybe people don't like me or they don't want to hang out. Again, you have to make time to show that you like them. Also, if you have this thought ever, it's a lot of times people think this, but they never get proof. It's just a vibe or they didn't reach out to something. And honestly, like when I learned in my life that most people never really think about me, they're all in their lives dealing with what they got to deal with. Oh, you were just busy, or it slipped your mind, or I was always so busy, you never invited me to stuff because I always said no. So stuff like that. You got to get solid proof. If someone says, hey, I really don't like you to your face, not online, but to your face, that's solid proof. Okay. Now we can don't hang out with that person. Find the people that like you and hang around. And then as a reminder too, you have to ask people and plan cool stuff. Going back to the get tickets thing, otherwise people will forget you, especially if you're always busy. Or a lot of other creators or a lot of just general business advice out there is you have to hustle 25 hours a day, 30 days a week, right? And I know that was meant to be hyperbolic because you only have so much time per week to work. We are all going to die at some point. And if you are in a rush to die, a great way to get there sooner is to neglect healthy habits, your mind, and relationships. But really, like, why not enjoy the life you are building while you're building it? And enjoying it and being successful at life to me as a coach, as a human being, again, is having a strong career where you make a difference and you keep your health and you have people around that still like you at the end of it all. If you have to hustle 25 hours, 30 days a week, again, hyperbolic, who are you hustling for? Is it a corporation that doesn't care about you at all, that will cut you in a dime? Or will have you destroy your relationships and health for a company? It's not a good proposition. Is it for you? Are you doing something that you believe in, that you love, that is leading to a better life for yourself, for your family, for the world at large? Yeah. Those are different things. And some people love what they do. And it's great to find your performance edge and to go all in on something you believe in 100,000%. To keep with the hyperbolic numbers. Who are you hustling for? I hope you choose you. I hope you choose what you want to manifest out in the world because the world needs you in that. I believe that. That's why I do this podcast. That's why I coach. It is because we need people that are happy warriors on the path towards glory, enlightenment. I don't know, metaphor right now. So we'll put that in metaphor, mishap, or magic. And then finally, are all of these concerns true? Absolutely, right? We do have times in our lives where we have to hustle, especially earlier on in our careers. We have to have times where we are doing all the things or we are addressing the insecurities and fears that we have about our lives. And those are real. Those are real. But they're also choices. We are choosing what we prioritize in our lives. We are choosing how we are organizing our lives. We are choosing the places that we are allowing to abuse us or to build us up. And again, at the top of this episode, I said we have the agency to change our lives. And the more that we realize it, the more we realize we can make decisions to have, and we have that right, things can really change. And I hope you choose yourself if you have more control over your life. So With that said, guys, this is the Meaningful Revolution podcast. Again, I'm your host, Shawn Buttner. I hope you loved this episode. We'll have a link to another episode in the show notes on Burnout, so go check that out. We'll have some of the links to the research from statistics that I quoted from today in the show notes. If you are struggling with burnout and would like a little help, like I mentioned earlier, like the self-promoting, hire a coach thing, tip my hat off to that. I know it's self-serving, but I know the high-performance coaching process helps people. And so if you are listening to this podcast, you can go to the link in the show notes and schedule a 1-hour strategy session where we will go through your life through the high-performance lens, find out what's burning you out, what to do to prevent it, what you got to do moving forward. You build a high-performance plan for you. On that call, it's all value. At the end, if you like it and we feel like we're a good fit, we talk about a coaching relationship. If not, you walk away with an amazing plan that will change your life. I know it will change your life. That's why I love doing these sessions. So check out that link if you're interested. If not, cool. And we'll see you in the next episode of the Meaningful Revolution Podcast.